Welcome back to Mexico with me. Thank you for following and hopefully enjoying some of the videos that I've been putting out over the last few months. But I've been in England for a few months and now I'm back in the UK and just getting on with some of the things that are important. When I say I'm back in the UK, what I mean is I've been back in the UK, but now I'm in Mexico, and this is just to give you a little sense of where I am on top of the roof of our particular house and just looking out towards the mountains. You can see over there it's literally 5 maybe 6 kilometers to that range of mountains by the orange painted front of that particular house, and then the range over here you see with the clouds still hanging over the crest of the mountains. These mountains ring Mexico City and completely surround us, and it creates its own weather system because the clouds in the heat of the day will rise and then they'll come to a point where they break against the mountains. You can see how thick they are there over the yellow and the orange, and then they will settle and cause rain later on this afternoon, and then the cycle will repeat itself. But this is my little work environment and I wanted to share it with you. So let's take you back into the office area, which I think you've seen in previous videos, but it feels so good to be back here. I've been in Mexico for 4 days since I had a very long flight from Istanbul to get to Mexico, but it feels so good to be back in my little studio on top of the house. These are some of my core books that I like to keep close to hand. This little leather bag, let me show you this. I bought this in 1984 when I had walked across Mexico from the Pacific Ocean, and I was about halfway across my journey covering Mexico from the Pacific to the Gulf of Mexico and then out to the Caribbean. But Palenque is a very special place, and it has a place in my heart because it was an archaeological site that I wanted to reach as part of my journey. And in here I have over the years kept many different things, but I've still got some of my letters between my then girlfriend, now my wife, and I all those years ago. One of the wallets that I had from what was Banamex, the national bank. So I've had that wallet for so many years. I don't mind showing you that address. I no longer live there. Here I am in Mexico City. But this is my space. This is my writing area. A place that I feel very comfortable, and I just wanted to share it with you as I'm back now in Mexico City for a month, and I'm really enjoying the process of catching up with friends and family, but getting back into the routine that supports me in my regular writing. Today we went out for breakfast because it was my sister-in-law's birthday, so we went to a coffee shop locally, and it was nice walking there from the house and actually connecting with people in the community here in a place called Kaweco, people I haven't actually seen for several months while I was working in the UK. And it was just great to catch up with them and say hi, how are you, and just have a great time. We took our dog with us, and that's always a nice way of breaking the ice with people because there's lots of other dog walkers here in the neighbourhood. But to know that I'm back in a place where I feel so comfortable and I feel so, well, I am at home, but where the situation is one that I find very supportive, very encouraging for artists, for writers in particular. Here in Mexico City I have several friends who are poets and other people who work in the publishing industry, either in submitting their own documentation and manuscripts, but also people who are proofreaders and publishers for some of the big international houses. And it's just a great place. It is filled with bookshops, coffee shops that have a focus on books, and it gives me a sense of belonging to a community here, a community that culturally I've been part of since I was in Mexico as a university student, just 19, 20, 21 years old, and coming to terms with what it was like to be in Mexico. But today, just being back in my community and out and about in our community, it just gives me that sense of being rooted in what matters and what is important. And I'm hoping that the next month will be a very productive month before I pop back to the UK for another few months, probably for 3 months at least, and focus on some different things. You know that I was this last year working in the UK in a college for young people and looking at using technology to help them with their learning process, but particularly with expressing their thoughts and ideas using very generic AI software, but allowing them to capture what they wanted to communicate in ways that otherwise they were struggling with, doing it personally. So that was a very interesting experience. That process has finished, and I took a redundancy package from the college, which again has given me a little bit of thinking time where I can be away from England, be here at home in Mexico, and just get on with some of the things that are important to me and to finishing some of the projects. I'm going to move the tripod just a little bit. I'm going to move it to the end of the table here. In fact, you can see outside there, which is quite nice. So let me just show you some of the things. I've been working on a particular manuscript for the last 4 months. I published Meaningful Work, you'll know that, about 6 weeks ago. If you've already bought that and enjoyed it, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being part of my community of viewers here on YouTube who support me and share comments and feedback on videos. But also, if you are new to the channel and you found me through the Meaningful Workbook, thank you very much indeed. It's the book that I have been wanting to write for years because it's allowed me to talk about the interactions that I've had with so many small businesses over almost 30 years of working in that sector, and to encapsulate the core aspects of what it means to have work that is deeply satisfying, nourishing, work that nurtures your character and the way that you are made up, the way you're built almost, and gives you something that you can find to be in alignment with who you are. So that's been very important. Working on this new manuscript, which is a crime fiction one based here in Mexico City, it has been a joy to write, but the longer I've been away from Mexico City, the more I've had to rely on little prompts or photographs or lots of the video footage that I've taken over the last year or so, just to get me back into the aspects of life here that mean so much to me. This is a little thing that sits on my desk. You recognise it, a Volkswagen Beetle. These are still classic cars around Mexico and I see them all the time. Today I went to a taller mecánico, or a vehicle workshop, and was looking at a genuine version of one of these little cuties. This is obviously a short wheelbase combi, but we looked, my stepson and I, at a genuine combi from 1987 and looking at the ideas that maybe would make that possible to purchase and to refurbish, but using it at that particular taller mecánico. So that was really good. I've also been to one of the local supermarkets near us. There's an American chain called Walmart, and they have a store literally less than 5 minutes walk around the block from the neighbourhood here. And I was able to pick up these. These are 100 sheet notepads, and I've been finding these very useful over the years. And these are in that grid pattern, so they work well with the fountain pen, but they work exceptionally well either with a fine point biro like my Cross, or these, which I picked up in the marketplace multiple times over the last year. This is, I think you can see it, a Pentel Feel It, and it's a really super pen. Simple push button. So that gives you the pointer, the very fine nib, and then click on the handle, and that goes back in. That is, let's see if it's got some detail. No, okay, 0.07, so a nice fine writing biro. But that works really well with the Scribe Escolade Plus, 100 pages, and it's 50 grams. So it works with the sharpest of my fountain pens. It doesn't work that well with the broad nibs, like for example my Bauer fountain pen. So I use that on different things. I've been using this for capturing expenses in the last few days that I've been here. A Norderly supply company, proudly manufactured and printed, it says, in Norway. 48-page notebook, your everyday pocket companion. But I've been using that every day. We've been out for something to eat, and I've been jotting down and capturing the expenditure as part of what I generally do to think, okay, this is how much we've managed to save this month. Let's put that into Bitcoin, for example, or into some very high ROI or return on investment stocks. Only a few of those, because I'm veering much more to digital investment than I have done in previous years. But it's great to keep notes, to capture what is being spent. And this Norderly, thank you Barry, has been excellent as the tool for doing that. What else have I got on here? Here's something you will know very well. My AlphaSmart Neo. This made the journey in my carry-on bag. I didn't put it in my main suitcase. I brought it with me in my roll-on bag on the aircraft on, what day was it? Wednesday last week. So less than a week ago, 5 days ago. And this is a beauty. This goes out to coffee shops with me. Tomorrow I'm taking it to El Chapaneco restaurant, which is a cafe come cake shop very close to the house. And I'll take that for 2 hours. I'll go there, have a coffee, keep writing, and then finish up with something before coming home. But the AlphaSmart Neo continues to be one of my favourite writing tools because it is so tactile. It has the best keyboard that I've ever worked with, and I love my MacBook Air. But this is such a joy to write with. And again, I've said it before, but don't forgive me. It's got these 8 little files, and each one of those has capacity for 10,000 words. So it's a super tool. I've done a lot of the writing for this detective fiction story on there, and I have a new non-fiction book coming out about personal finance that will be out hopefully in January. And all of that has been written on the AlphaSmart Neo. It was written in April and May when I was last here, and all of it was done at the coffee shop on the AlphaSmart Neo. So that's been really good. I'm still using all the time a regular A6 hardbound journal, so that this keeps my personal ideas and personal notes in, but it also has, I can look at something sensible. Yeah, so it's also got details of, in this case, a page of stocks, the name of the actual share, and then the percentage return in terms of dividends. And I also keep in this the more important tracking processes. Let's use the July one for so far. So this one is my tracking of coins that are bought through a masternode. And over the course of a year, that's generated a 43% return, which is incredible when you think that it's built up from hundreds of daily small fees. So that's been very good, and we are continuing with that process. But having something like this, which is so eminently practical, for example, in the back here, I have got a mass of receipts from the previous month. And again, all about tracking personal finance and keeping a strong sense of what is being spent, what is being purchased. Let me get something else that is useful. These are 2 things that I keep on the bookshelf behind me. This one is a hand-painted little box in the style of some of the artisanal work here. On the side it says Viva la vida, Frida Kahlo, Kaweco, 1954. But inside, I'm never going to run out of stationery because of simple things like this box. Whoops. I don't know how many pens are in there, but I bet there are years or many, many months of writing. I've got lots of those Mitsubishi unipins that I'm so fond of. But also, the other pens that I find a lot of ease writing with are these, if I can get one out sensibly, the Pilot, the V5 high-tech. Again, I love writing with them, and it's nice to have a bunch of spare pens in something as robust as this, which sits on the shelf with my journals. The other thing that I find handy is having this little case of cartridges for my fountain pens. I'm still a big fountain pen user. That will never go away. It was nice before I got on the aircraft last week to handwrite a number of cards and send those out to friends, and to know that if I were to run out of ink just before the flight or on the flight when I was writing in my moleskin notebook, then I had a supply of cartridges here in Mexico City. What do you have in your writing area that supports you? Is it something as simple as places to store pens and notes? Is it the opportunity to have little items of fresh stationery that you can work on and work with? Or is it things like, if I hold these up for you, the MacBook Air or the AlphaSmart Neo? Both of these have a regular place in my writing diary. You know that I don't write for 8 hours a day, but I will probably write every other day for a couple of hours, and that's allowed me to be consistent in my writing and to produce new books like The Meaningful Work, which I've spoken of, and please get a copy because it's my favourite book. And let me have your feedback either here once you've read it on the channel, or on Amazon where you buy it in your local regional platform, and add a comment and let me know how you're going on with it. And of course, tomorrow when I go out to the coffee shop, I'll have my AlphaSmart Neo, but I'll have my good old-fashioned 1984 man bag that has done me so well over so many years and allows me to be productive in simple different ways. This isn't an EDC video, it's me saying, look, I'm back home, I'm on the top floor. What did I say about raining? Look, it's now raining quite heavily outside, and it will get worse over the course of the evening now that the rain has started. I can see that the clouds have settled already down on the crests of the mountains outside and around the house. But the rain is here. You can see that glistening on the tiles outside. What will you do? How will you be productive over these next few weeks yourself? And is there anything I can do to help you, either on a one-to-one basis or responding to your comments here in the videos? Please be productive in what you do. We are on the first day of September today, so it feels quite significant that today's the first day I felt able to record a video since getting here. I just feel like it's taken me a few days to settle in, to be with family, and to be out and about in the community, just reconnecting with friends and associates in the neighbourhood. But now I'm ready to write, and I'm really excited about the idea that September will be a month of steady productivity as we move towards October, which we know is often called Preptober, so that NaNoWriMo and National Novel Writing Month, they all flow. It's not that the idea of November is thou shalt sit down and write 50,000 words in 30 days and produce a first draft book. For me, I've always generally thought that's a nice time to tie up a particular book. I haven't got a copy here, but that book, 10-Minute Budget, which I wrote, that was also all written on my AlphaSmart Neo a few years ago, but that was written from scratch on this device and is probably the most fundamental of my personal finance books, 10-minute budget. But September is a way of getting back from holiday or refocusing after having that generic switching off or slowing down time of a few months worth of summer holidays, and getting back to your desk and thinking, right, I know what I want to produce because I've got that written out in my journals or my notebooks or my Moleskine type planning tool, whatever you use, and it might be a Moleskine or it could be something like that Norderly. Here's a different one by Wilder. So however you plan and make your notes about what your writing focus is, that's personal and it's unique to you. But there comes a point when, on a day like this, the first day of a new month, you take your journal notes and you say, right, I think that this could be my word count for the project over the next few months. That in September I can lay out my book plan and I can work on characterization or plots and the way they develop and twist, or I can work on what the voices of my characters are as I bring the story to fruition. What I want you to do is just be as flexible as you need to be, but as confident as you can be about your ability to produce the book that is your stamp on the world. It's your way of expressing yourself and capturing your ideas in a manner that works in whichever tool format you use. Digital, analog, is absolutely fine. It's the way you want to do it. But capture those words you must, and the way that you capture them is by taking steady, regular, repeated daily actions to get you closer to the word count that makes up your story. The words are not the volume of words are not what matters, but it's the way that you, and you are the only person who can do this, the way that you bring together character, story, pacing, plot twists. You bring that together in your particular book or in your non-fiction program that you're working to and writing. This is all about, September is all about the way you bring those ideas to the fore and start to organize your personal writing time and your productivity in ways that will give you the tidy format or the clear output that is part of your work as a writer, as an author, as a creative individual. I hope this has helped. It's allowed me to focus my mind on what I want to create over the course of September, and that is the finishing of one particular novel and making more progress towards possibly finishing the next personal finance book in the series that includes 10-minute budget. Have a great month, wherever you are.